You're not jealous. You're afraid of being replaced. Triangulation doesn't require cheating. It only needs a third person mentioned at the right moment. She understands me too. I have a friend who really gets me. A lot of people are interested in me, you know? No one announces a comparison, but you feel it instantly. You've been placed into a competition you never agreed to enter. Triangulation is so common it disguises itself as harmless. A name repeated casually, a story that didn't need to be told, a presence that feels unnecessary but perfectly timed. You tell yourself, I'm overthinking. They don't clarify, and that silence does more damage than any confession. The real motive isn't jealousy, it's emotional power. The moment a third person enters the psychological space of a relationship, you stop being a partner, you become an option, and you start behaving like someone who could be replaced. Triangulation creates controlled instability. They don't leave you, but they never let you feel secure. There's always the sense that your position is temporary. The human brain cannot tolerate uncertainty. It needs to know where it stands. So you begin to adapt. You speak less. You smile more. You become easier. Not because you want to, but because you're competing to stay. Triangulation turns intimacy into a marketplace. Attention becomes currency, and your self-worth begins to fluctuate with their reactions. The most dangerous part? They don't have to lie. They just let you imagine. A third person vague enough, close enough, capable enough. Your mind does the rest. And when you finally ask, the answers are always unclear. It's just a friend. You're being sensitive. I don't know why you'd think that. So you question your perception instead of their behavior. Triangulation works because it targets a primitive fear, being excluded, left out, replaced, proven insufficient. And when you're afraid, you're easy to control. You stop asking, is this relationship healthy? And start asking something far more dangerous. If the third person disappeared, would I still matter? Or was I only valuable because someone else existed to compare me to? You don't notice when you lose your choice because technically you're still there. Triangulation isn't designed to make you leave. It's designed to keep you alert. The manipulator doesn't threaten. They maintain the third person at a precise distance, close enough to be felt, far enough to be denied. A name appears when you relax. Replies slow down without explanation. A careless comment that's never corrected. You can't prove anything, and that's what traps you. Triangulation forces you into constant self-comparison. You measure your worth through their attention, through response time, through who they smile at more. Every interaction becomes data. Every silence becomes evidence. You check your phone more often, reread old messages, analyze tone, pauses, micro changes, not because you're insecure, but because you're living inside emotional uncertainty. Triangulation doesn't break you with cruelty, it breaks you with prolonged ambiguity. You're not reassured, but you're not rejected either, and the mind doesn't know where to stop. Eventually, the third person stops mattering. What matters is who controls the emotional temperature. They decide when you feel wanted, when you feel replaceable, when you feel calm, when you feel anxious. You begin to fear asking questions because questions feel like risk. You censor yourself so you won't lose ground. That's when triangulation completes its function. You start managing your behavior for their approval. You suppress needs. You avoid boundaries. You stop asking for clarity, not because you're mature, but because you're afraid of comparison. The third person doesn't even need to stay. They were only required long enough to reprogram you. After that, the mechanism runs on its own. You minimize yourself. You adjust automatically. You doubt your perception. And if it ends, you won't say, "I was manipulated." You'll say, "Maybe I just wasn't enough." That's the final residue of triangulation. No proof, no villain, just a distorted story where you are the flaw. So the real question isn't, did they use someone else to make you jealous? It's this: why did you stay in a relationship where your value needed a third person to be measured? If this unsettles you, don't look away. Follow for deeper breakdowns of psychological mechanisms we keep mistaking for complex emotions.